Good evening, everyone. Sean here. So happy you can be here to read some poetry with me. It's a little later at night than it usually is when I do these. We had family dinner and the Flames game, which I was lucky enough to go to with a friend, and we beat Vegas 6-3. Matt Kachuk got a hat trick. Great night. Good win for the Flames. But I didn't forget about poetry, because poetry is very important. It's funny, I don't know if you've ever read my blog or on my Twitter, or if you've seen enough videos, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the bigger pop culture that's out there these days. I think it's really sort of been sterilized, sanitized, dehumanized, and there's so little subtlety out there. It's so easy and obvious to see the agendas that are involved and how slow things develop and how plots are perfect right to the beat. There's very little original stuff out there, at least on the biggest scales in terms of Netflix and the theater and TV. So you gotta dig a little deeper, and there is some good stuff on Netflix and there is some good stuff on TV, but the water cooler conversation is sort of centered around stuff that I think is largely junk that won't be talked about even in 6 months. So let's talk about some poems. In this case, poems that are 65 years old. So not the oldest poems in the world by any means, but are you watching TV shows from 65 years ago? Or even movies? That's a question, right? TV shows, I doubt it. Maybe The Honeymooners, you might watch an episode, but those feel kind of dated if you check it out. Movies, you might watch a great movie from that era, maybe something along the lines of Lawrence in Arabia, which isn't quite that old, or The Maltese Falcon, which is a little older. But if you look at the total number of movies that were made in those years, only a few are really in circulation now, for better or for worse. So let's put this poem back into circulation, at least on a small scale, between us, the weird, who watch this YouTube channel. Okay, here we go. Nocturne. There's nothing worse than feeling bad and not being able to tell you. Not because you'd kill me, or it would kill you, or we don't love each other. It's space. The sky is gray and clear, with pink and blue shadows under each cloud. A tiny airliner drops its specks over the UN building. My eyes, like millions of glassy squares, merely reflect. Everything sees through me. In the daytime, I'm too hot, and at night I freeze. I'm built the wrong way for the river, and a mild gale would break every fiber in me. Why don't I go east and west instead of north and south? It's the architect's fault. And in a few years, I'll be useless, not even an office building, because you have no telephone and live so far away. The Pepsi-Cola sign, the seagulls, and the noise. It's funny, I've been reading a few of these. So this is, again, by Frank O'Hara, kind of working my way through this book, picking sort of selections that are good for a short video. Some of these poems are quite long. So I've been working my way through them, and, you sort of pick up on these themes. There's a lot of focus on skies, setting the mood, pop culture, Pepsi-Cola, the UN building. That was probably relatively new in the mid-50s. Well, definitely new. Everything sees through me. How about this? Why don't I go east and west instead of north and south? Do you ever feel that way? You're just going the wrong way. That's the way you are. You're doing your own thing, sort of out on your own. I definitely do. You know, I have my own little law firm. I don't really make any money at it. And, I guess, a lot of my friends are making good money. And, sometimes you say, well, why don't I just join a firm or get sort of more of a square job? But guess what? It's the architect's fault. I wasn't made that way. I was made to do my own fucked up thing, which is to essentially just have my own set of clients and do my own shop from soup to nuts. I shouldn't say fucked up way, but here we are. We're spitballing here, okay? It's my own weird way. Let's say that, and trying to do a good job for my clients there. So, anyways, interesting poem, very fun, beautiful, beautiful poem. It's the architect's fault, and in a few years I'll be useless. Well, won't we all? Won't we all? And so again, let's do a little Basho. So earlier I was talking about the concept of art that's sort of disposable. And that can be a good thing because that's fun and light. But it can also be a bad thing because it's junky, junk calories, sugary pop and popcorn. Okay? You can't build a whole diet out of that. You'll wither up and die. Or at the very least wind up with diabetes and hypertension. Okay? So this is even quite a bit older than Frank O'Hara. When was Basho writing? Let's see here. That's a good question. I don't know, the 1700s or something? 1600s? Basho. Born near Kyoto in 1644. So we're going back to the 17th century. We're going back, coming on 400 years. About almost exactly 375 years ago. Well, he was born, so when was he writing? Call it 350 years ago, 325 years ago. Centuries ago, centuries ago. So what from today will people be thinking about 300 years from now? There's no way of knowing, is there? It could be Game of Thrones. It could be some obscure weird poet or painter. It could be some weird YouTube TV show that somebody is making in from Medellin. There's no way of knowing. Anyways, here we go. So I flipped to a random page. It was with awe that I beheld fresh leaves, green leaves, bright in the sun. I'll skip a verse here. Rid of my hair, I came to Mount Kurokami on the day we put on clean summer clothes. That was apparently written by one of his companions on this journey. Anyways, isn't that a beautiful feeling? I'll leave it with that for another week. But thank you for tuning in. Please let me know if there's anything you would like to hear. If you have any thoughts about what we've talked about tonight, or have any suggestions, anything of the matter. And I hope that you have a great week, and we will see you again soon. Thank you.